Balkrishna Garu, with your permission, I'm continuing. Since I'm already here, very warm welcome to you and also to you, Anupriya ma'am. Hearty welcome. So, as I was saying, I must take this moment to celebrate the man of the hour because Balkrishna Garu is the pillar behind making sure that this institution is able to hone the success that it has honed until now, carry on its legacy, and also create a mark, therefore completing 25 successful years. So congratulations to you, sir, and thank you. As a survivor, as someone who's still between her fight, I really want to extend my deepest gratitude for your continuous and continued endeavor in this cause, at least for this cause. Thank you so much. So I was actually saying that I was in Hyderabad. I was working in the Telugu industry when I was diagnosed with my cancer, and there were a lot of wrong, false news that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. But the truth is, I have an aggressive type of blood cancer, which is Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is otherwise very, very easily curable. I think up to 85% success rate in just the initial 6 months of chemotherapy. But there is a possibility of you being diagnosed with refractory diseases, refractory Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that is the kind that I have, which is probably 15% of people who are diagnosed with Hodgkin's have this kind of cancer. So I'm going to cut my long story very short, okay, because I don't want to get into the tail of it. It so happened that in 2014, and this was after I had finished my journey with I think all the chemotherapies that were available for Hodgkin's disease, and radiation, and a bone marrow transplant, and all of this. I think still more chemotherapy, which they call as the salvage chemo regimen. I happened to be, miraculously, when all doors had closed, a new door opened for me, and this was back in 2014. And trust me, this medicine was not available, or in fact, it was in human trials in the United States, which was at UCLA. And I happened to have the opportunity of being part of a clinical study, which is a human trial, phase 2 clinical trial for one of the first very successful anti-PD-L1 drug. And today it is approved. In 2017, it got approved for several types of lung cancer. Very promising results in several types of blood cancer. Hodgkin's lymphoma is one of them. And one of the things, now that I've come this far in life, I'm not saying that I'm free of danger. I believe that life is, probably God is not, every time I think about the word cure, I've stopped pinning my life on that one word called cure, because yes, it looks like a dangling diamond, that word. And we sometimes start having these false hopes. But what if 2 years later, 5 years later, once again your PET scan shows you one element of disease, your cancer's moved some other part of your body? What are you going to do? Your whole world is going to break down? Everything that you've built is going to come crashing down on you? So I stopped doing that a very long time ago. So it's about, for me, survival is about how I show up every day. What's the energy I put out? What do I do with the time and the life that I have? So I'm so grateful that in 2014, I stumbled upon this miracle. And this is a very promising drug called Opdivo. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. Many of you who are in the medical field will be aware of it. It's an anti-PD-L1 drug. I had the amazing fortune of being administered with the medicine. And trust me, it is because of that one drug, wonder drug, that I'm still standing here before you today. And thank you so much. One of the things I always tell people when I meet them, I tell them the key is not to find a cure today, find a solution right now. The bigger cure for you, the bigger challenge that stands before you in your fight is, do you have it in you to stay alive, and how much of your everyday life are you truly living. Create that spirit inside you, that will to fight, that will to, that drive inside you. Quality of your life. One of the things that I have learned a lot about medical science and about how the mind and the body connection works. The miracle behind the art of staying alive, the art of survival, how to fight, how to put on the right fight, the bright fight. A lot of it, yes, from United States. As this is also an Indo-American, institute, I'm sure there's a lot of integration that is happening. In fact, there is one aspect that we have not focused on, at least until 2014, I had all my treatments in Apollo, Chennai. There was one question that the doctors and the team in the US asked me, and that was, they had one thing called quality of life assessment. Quality of life assessment is not something that they do on a day-to-day basis with patients in India. At least I have not seen that. I have gone back into hospitals after moving back to India, and I still see we're falling behind. How is the patient looking? What is the spirit that the patient is carrying when they're walking into the hospital? All these things matter. So when it comes to that, hospital is the next thing. What about the environment at home? So your immediate environment, anybody who's fighting cancer, I think the first support needs to come from home. And there's something that I've always seen happen because of how we are culturally and traditionally built. I have seen a lot of toxic support also coming from home. And the reason why I put emphasis on this is because there are people who love us, they also worry for us. So one of the things I always want to mention to people who are caregivers to cancer patients is, you worry for them, but don't wear your worry. And I think to a certain degree, I have told this so much to my parents that my mother has almost forgotten to worry, even on a bad day of mine. She puts on a strong front and she acts as though nothing is wrong with me. And I kind of get some energy from somewhere. Earlier, 10, 15 years ago, she was a completely different person. But today, when there is something wrong with me, she pretends like, she's got it figured out. I know my daughter will figure it out. So that gives me the strength, that gives me the energy to do my own research. And yeah, for the most part, I have done my own research and I have been in the forefront of my own fight because I don't have a sibling. I don't have any other support, other than my dad and mom. And they're also of a certain age. They're of a previous generation, So what I want to tell people who care for people who are going through cancer is, don't sympathize with them, empathize with them. And I feel when someone finishes their battle with cancer and they're coming back into this world, there is a resistance in complete acceptance. I've experienced that myself because everybody tries to look at my journey as something that was debilitating for me. Oh, poor thing. Oh yeah, I know she's gone through this, so she must be weak. No, you know what? I'm 10x stronger than an average person. And the real question is the world really ready for us? Are you ready for us? So all I want to tell everyone today here is, I want to congratulate every single person who's put on a strong fight. I want to thank those who have left us, having put on a strong fight and having left so many things for us to think about time and time again. I hope we have learned a thing or two from people who have passed. How willfully and how gracefully they have fought through their hard times. Can you even imagine? It's so hard to fathom the fight of a person who's going through cancer. And one of the things that I have promised myself is I will never appear as though I'm going through something. And I always tell myself, on a bad day, just let it be your bad day. It's okay. It's not, every day doesn't have to be perfect. Take rest, that day is for you. But the next day, the body is amazing, you know. Once that chemotherapy or any medicine goes in, first few days is, not so good. But then your cells, everything inside you, your willpower, and everything fights back so that you can stand back up again and show up to your own life. So I take this opportunity to request all of you to make every person's fight a little easier. If you can enhance, if you can give a little bit of support and a little bit of love, it will go a very, very long way for those who are actually fighting cancer. And on that note, I hope the Basavatarakam Indo-American Institute managed to bring a lot more futuristic and synergetic treatment options and make it a lot more easily available to everyone who's in India, and therefore also impart more and more knowledge and education in this field. And on that note, thank you so much for having me here and letting me share my story, and continue enjoying this evening, and may you all live very long and live a great and healthy life. And thank you so much for having me here once again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mamta Mohandas. Let's give a huge